Gunfight, Part 2. Clive knew the town, every doorway and building, giving him an inherent advantage. Making his way to the corner of the saloon, he had concluded this would not be an arrest. He was going to flat out kill this son of a bitch and send him to where he should have gone long ago. Clive had his back to the wall of the small, now closed cafe next to the saloon. He inched his way toward the back. From there, he would have a view of the open rear of the 4 buildings making up this end of the town. He held the shotgun in front of him. Clive knew he had to be careful looking around the back, as he had no way of knowing where Slim may have positioned himself. His hand was shaking a bit. He leaned closer against the wall, telling himself. He knew the space, and Slim did not. Finally, he mustered enough courage to take a quick look. Slim was nowhere to be seen. Clive let out his breath, trying to figure out where he might be. He ventured another look. This time longer. Again, no Slim. He kept his head out, carefully scanning the entire terrain. He was flummoxed. He wondered, was he still on the outside edge of the first building that signified the edge of the town? He decided to make his way back to the front and recompute. At that moment, he heard Slim's voice. "Well, there, Whiskers. See, old Slim here knew you would make this move. But first off, if I was you, I would be real careful in how you turn around, especially with that scattergun." Clive cursed himself for having been outwitted. He knew what happened. Slim, from the edge of the building on the outskirts, watched Clive make his move. Slim then made his way down the front of the buildings and was now behind him. Clive was in no position to make a move. He turned slowly, facing Slim, now with his revolver pointed directly at Clint. Slim told him to put the shotgun on the ground, warning if he so much as saw his fingers anywhere near the trigger. It was lights out for Clive. Clive, looking directly at him, did as Slim had ordered, bending over and shoving the shotgun toward Slim. He positive, any moment, Slim was going to shoot him, but to not comply would utterly assure that outcome. Clive saw no way in which this could turn in his favor. But fate is fickle. As Slim bent to retrieve the shotgun, Clive heard the distinct voice of Jerry sounding like he was moving toward the place where Slim was standing, with his telltale, almost childlike voice. "Mr. Clive! Mr. Clive! The bad man? He's here by the old cafe." Slim, for a mere moment, turned to look from where the panicked warning came from. Clive knew this was likely to be his only chance. He reached for his pistol, jerking it out, pulling the trigger as he did so. 4 shots rang out, one of which hit Slim in the abdomen. But Slim was not down. He stood there, and in the merest of moments, unleashed his own pistol, firing off 4 shots in quick succession. One shot hitting Clive in the upper thigh. On impact, Clive's arm was thrown off to the side where he avertedly discharged the last 2 shots in his revolver. Slim was now half doubled over, but still managing to keep his pistol somewhat trained on Clive. He gave out a great heave. "You done fucked me, Whiskers. Got gut shot. It's bad. I don't plan on going like this, taking a day to writhe in agony as I die off." He stepped forward with broken steps the entire time, keeping his pistol on Clive. Once at the shotgun, he reached down, picking it up. Holding the shotgun in one hand, he discharged the 2 remaining bullets left in his pistol into the ground, then threw it to the side. He had the shotgun leveled at Clive. Clive was seriously wounded and in enormous pain, but was still standing. Clive knew he was going to die, seeing the determination in Slim's face, further etched with vengeance and hatred. Slim stood, as if contemplating where he was going to discharge the weapon, Clive concluding, no doubt, wherein it would create the most agony-filled impact. Slim gave a low laugh. "Remember what I said. Maybe I'll see you in hell." Whiskers, what if I told you I was hell? He advanced a few feet, holding the scattergun. Now both hammers were pulled back. It was with great effort that Slim did this. Clive's only hope was Slim would somehow quickly die from the gunshot. Slim came closer. Clive was near the edge of the building. He mustered his strength and with a quick move managed to move around the corner. It was difficult as his leg did not want to move. Right. There around the corner was a small alcove with a door that opened to the sometimes open restaurant. He heard Slim moving toward him. Clive went for the door, not knowing if it was open. But now there was at least a chance. Clive, with his back to the door, the barrel of the shotgun became visible from around the corner. Clive, with one hand behind him, grabbed the handle to the door he turned. It opened. He pushed. It was immovable. He realized there must be a large object on the other side, like a desk or something. He was trapped. By now, Slim had made his way around and was there a few feet from Clive with the shotgun again pointed at him. Clive knew he was dead. Slim was looking worse by the second. The wound was a significant and assuredly a fatal one. Blood saturated his shirt and pants. He was sort of bent over, but somehow still maintained that snarling humor. He gave a forced laugh. Slim shook his head. Old Whiskers here got Slim real good. By my reckoning, Slim will be off this planet within a couple of hours or so. He lowered the shotgun a bit, made a decision, going to give Old Whiskers here something that he thought he would never have. I'm going to make you flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood. Yeah, let the sheriff here see what it's like to be Slim. What happened next shook Clive to his core. This was a horror never imagined, the realization creating tectonic fear in him. Clive's hand was again on the door, and with his back pushing against it as hard as he could. He ignored the pain. Still no movement. What he was facing was right out of hell. It was Slim. He was deteriorating quickly. He must have known it. He, with an evil smile on his face, slowly bent over now, only 10 feet from Clive. He, with great deliberation, put the shotgun into his mouth. It was evident he was going to kill himself, but in doing so, the discharge from the blast would be directly pointed at Clive. Slim stayed that way for a while. He was gasping for breath. He pulled the gun out of his mouth for a moment, while remaining bent over. Okay, Whiskers, see, even if you do somehow manage to survive this, which is doubtful, you're going to have me embedded in your flesh. I will be there. I will make you a lifelong part of me. Imagine that, Whiskers. Old Slim here in your mind. Maybe I become a part of your soul. There you are, like me, burdened with a seed that was wretched from the pits of the abyss. He, with great deliberation, put the shotgun into his mouth. Clive was seized with fear he did not know existed. What he was facing was not only a likely physical extermination, but also a possible reconfiguration of his very soul. The images of the imagined aftermath of the resultant carnage from the anticipated blast ran rampant in his mind. The horrifying realization: surviving the ordeal could have worse implications than succumbing to the shot. He visualized himself, severely crippled, disfigured, his face looking like a plate of scrambled eggs. He began begging. Slim, just shoot me. Fuck it. Let me die like a man. Slim had his head down and the shotgun fully in his mouth. Clive saw that once the trigger was pulled, it would take off the top of Slim's head and then propel this right towards Clive's face and upper abdomen. Slim's finger was at both triggers. Clive was unable to move, being in a boxed-in place. Also, with his one leg inoperative, it was impossible for him to make any sudden moves to mitigate the effects of the anticipated blast. The last thing Clive remembered was a loud explosion. When he came to it, was faces over him. He was laying on one of the bar tables. He tried to talk, but found it impossible. He could only see out of one eye, and was surprised at that, given the circumstances. Pain. It was indescribable. His upper leg, where he had been shot, was throbbing, telegraphing the seriousness of the wound. But the impact from the shotgun was even worse. From his one eye, the faces of the people over him telegraphed the revulsion of the effects of the blast on Clive. As if they could not even stand to look at him, Clive went to put one hand up to feel his face, but Mabel, who was also over him, held his hand. "Best not, Clive. You got some things on your face. Best not touch them." Then it was Daryl, the barkeeper. "Clive, we got Terry the dry goods guy getting the doctor from the next town. Best wait till he gets here. We did some cleaning up on you, but those two things stuck on you. Best wait." With that, a wave of darkness overwhelmed Clive, and he lapsed off into unconsciousness. He awoke, feeling hands on his head and chest. It was Doc Volan. Clive again tried to say something, but like before, it was difficult. But at least now he could mumble some words. "How bad, Doc?" The doctor shook his head. "You took 2 serious hits, one down in your leg. While you were unconscious, I got that bullet out and got a poultice on it with dressing. Also pulled some bone fragments from your chest. But your face," Clive with effort hissed out. "What a piece of meat." The doctor patted his arm. "No, it's actually in pretty good shape. With time, most of the skin should come back. You might look a bit trail-dragged, but not bad." He stopped, and then looked at the rest. Then it was back to Clive. "It's what's stuck in your forehead." Again, Clive's hand reflexively went to his head to feel what they were talking about. The doctor grabbed his arm. "No, don't touch. Moving those things right now could be really bad. Your brain. Well, Clive, that blast put some artifacts, and these are buried in your skull and, well, also your brain. Best wait for some healing. Your head bones will eventually fill them in." Clive was terror-bound with curiosity. "What? My brain!" At that moment, Mabel came down from her room, waving a handheld mirror in her hand. She walked over briskly. "Got my hand mirror. Best let him look." With that, she was over him, holding the mirror to where Clive could see what they were talking about. At first, it was hard for him to discern, due to the way she held it. But soon, he saw his entire face and head. As mentioned, most of the skin on his face had been blown off, leaving large red areas, almost craters. But it was the 2 protuberances that held his attention. As he was trying to discern what they were, he heard the doctor. "All that skin should kind of grow back.